So my name is Jana. I am the owner of a company called Booby Food. We are a service where we help families have shelf-stable, travel-friendly breast milk. So we freeze dry mom's breast milk and turn it into powder. I have two boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. And that, in a nutshell, is myself.
Amazing, amazing. So tell me more. Where are you located? Do you have a factory? How does this all happen?
Yeah. So we are located in Calgary, Alberta.
Okay.
And we have a almost 3,000 square foot facility. So our facility holds about 70,000 ounces. We specialize in abundant stashes for some moms who are overproducers. But I started Booby Food because I had basically little to no supply. My firstborn was started on formula, and my background's in nutrition, and I didn't know at the time, if you're not moving it, you're not making it. So that means that your supply is going to drop. I couldn't feed my son according to my birth plan, but we all know birth plans are great on paper. They're great on paper. So you got to be kind of flexible. And then when he started on solids, I wanted to make sure, I'll back up a little bit. My son was born small for gestational age, and he was supposed to NICU. We had him at home, but he was too small for the car seat. So our midwife said, you need to start him on formula right away, right now. And I couldn't imagine if he was born 3 years later during a formula crisis, being a first-time parent and having to go and try and find formula, and then the shelves be absolutely bare. So I feel for anybody living through that time. But what came out of all of that stress and struggling with him growing and making sure that he was on his growth curve is when he started on solids. I wanted to add my breast milk to his foods, but I only had like 6 barely there bags. And I'm like, I can't thaw a whole bag just to use a little bit. There's got to be another way. My background being in nutrition, I was like, I wonder if you could freeze dry breast milk. So I did my little nutrition nerd thing. I looked up some research journals, scientific journals, and I was blown away that the research goes back to the 1950s of researchers saying freeze drying is a much better way to preserve the nutrients in breast milk long term than traditional deep freezing.
Wow.
And it was incredible. Like, milk banks around the world were using it for freeze drying their donor breast milk to feed at-risk babies and using it to fortify at-risk babies. And so that's basically where it all started. We've grown since my son was born in 2018, and so it's 2024 now. How far time has flown. And we have outgrown our spaces probably about 4 times.
Wow.
So we are in our 3,000 square foot place, and expansion is in-house so far, so that's nice.
Amazing, amazing. And so tell me how this, I mean, obviously my interest is this surrogacy, and I saw your video today and it just melted my heart because one of our surrogates shared the video in our surrogacy community and said, hey, this is me. And so that just like melted my heart, obviously. And I guess details, like how, like, do you need to have the supplies before you start pumping? Do you order the supplies from you? Like, logistically, how does it work?
Yeah, so everyone's a little bit different in their preferences. I mean, we all know that usually beforehand, things are kind of laid out is if the surrogate mom is going to be providing their families, and that can change at certain times. But if what we've done in the past is we would usually have the surrogate moms, we would send them one of our Booby shipper boxes.
Okay.
So you don't need any dry ice, you don't need any gel packs, you don't need to really touch anything.
Okay.
That little one here. So you basically, mom or the surrogate mom would package her frozen breast milk into the all-in-one Booby shipper. It comes with your return shipping label. It comes with everything you need. You don't even need to leave their house. You can call FedEx for a pickup. They come straight to you.
Okay.
Then it's back to our facility. We freeze dry it, and we label each and every single one of the bags. So we label each of the bags for the intended parent. So we have an intake form that the intended parent will fill out, and then we customize the bags for them. So if they're traveling, then they can take the freeze-dried breast milk with them. A couple years ago, we had a mom in Airdrie, which is about 20 minutes away from Calgary or so. She was a surrogate mom for a couple in London, England. And I remember they were in town for the birth. And I remember, like, it was a very short time, and I ran down to the hotel downtown Calgary, and I gave them their Booby Food, and they were flying back home that day. They're like, this is just, it makes things so much easier. Right. We have a long trip. We have a new baby. The last thing that we want to worry about is thawing. We're getting it through, customs. And we've all heard horror stories about that. And he's like, it's going to make things so much easier when we get home. So anytime we can keep babies on breast milk is exactly what we want. So we're so thankful to be there however we can.
Amazing. And so how does it keep, so the frozen milk comes to you, and then you open the bag gently and like place it in, like, all I keep thinking of is like old school dehydrators where you used to put fruit on the tray and then it makes it into fruit leather. Is it like that sort of?
Oh, it's very different. So great question. A lot of people get dehydrators and freeze dryers mixed up. They're like, well, I think it's the same thing. I'm just dehydrator.
Oh, it's a different thing.
Totally different. So yeah. So freeze drying uses very low temperatures and pressure systems. It's basically like a big chamber. So frozen breast milk goes in. We don't thaw and we don't melt the breast milk. So we like to keep everything frozen. That keeps nutritional value intact. And then it prevents any losses. You don't want a big mess everywhere if you're dealing with liquid breast milk. But everything stays frozen. So we gently remove the bags, and then we break down the big bricks into smaller ones, and it goes into this chamber. And what happens inside the chamber is that it goes down to about -40 degrees Fahrenheit. And then there's a little vacuum pump that sucks out all of the air inside the chamber, creating a little vacuum. And then this is how all happens over about 2 days. So it's very low. And Then warmer and cooler air starts coming in, not enough to thaw or melt the breast, but it basically turns the ice water inside the breast milk to vapor without going through the liquid stage. So if you've ever imagined what, like, dry ice, have you ever seen dry ice, how it's like vapors off? That's basically the process of what's happening. It turns from solid to vapor without thawing or melting or whatsoever. So all of it looks exactly the same going into the chamber as it does coming out. And what's left over where the water used to be are air pockets. So you can kind of crunch it up a little bit, and it turns into this super fine powder that is so soft. Shelf-stable. The water has been removed. We don't use any chemicals, no additives, no preservatives, nothing. It is all done through a process called sublimation, which is basically like that dry ice going from a.
And how does it keep all of the nutrition? Like, is all of the nutrition still there? And then do you use it like formula? Like my last kid is 7, right? I have 5 kids, but I'm thinking it was like 1 scoop to 2 ounces of water. I could be wrong, but is it sort of like that?
Probably very similar, still for formula. So in this case, each her breast milk is very different. Like, every woman's breast milk is very different from pumping session to pumping session, from day to night. Might be more fattier one session, more water. So we combine the breast milk all together. So then nutritionally it's all the same for mom or for the parents when they get it back, and then they're going to get their own water ratio. So one water ratio for one mom might be different for another. It'll fall generally between 3 to 5 ounces, so like a typical breast milk bag. So for one bag, you would put in 3 ounces of water or 5 ounces of water. That's how you reconstitute it. But every individual is going to be very different because breast milk varies from person to person.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy.
And then for the nutrition, because we are using very low temperatures and pressure systems, that's how the nutritional values are retained. And I did an experiment on this a few years ago. where I freeze dried some older stash of my breast milk. It was very anecdotal, but I wanted to show some stats. So I freeze dried some of my older breast milk. I think it was about 6 months old. And then I expressed some freshly expressed breast milk, and I sent it off to a place called Lactation Lab in there in the United States. And I had them both analyzed. I reconstituted my freeze dried, and I have the results on my Instagram page. It's called Lab Results. And it's shocking how everything is bang on. Vitamin C went down by like 1 point, and I was shocked at that because vitamin C is a very sensitive vitamin. It can start depleting, even being in your fridge. So that's it. When I dove into the research when I first started this, I was like, how is nobody doing this? This is amazing. Like, this is incredible. And freeze drying is just, it's such a very protective process to be able to just remove the water so it prevents any further breakdown. And now it's completely a shelf stable powder.
And so traveling with this, like, I mean, listen, it's a white powder. Like, does customs kind of go, okay, I get it, this is milk. Like, how are people traveling with this safely?
So we are federally regulated through Health Canada, so that's a big thing that from the very beginning, because I said, listen, like, I know if I do this, other people are going to want to do this, and we need to make sure that there's protection placed around this, because we're dealing with a very vulnerable and sensitive population. So currently we're the only federally regulated company in the entire world. Unfortunately, the states are a little bit behind on that. We want to get FDA regulating companies, but we're getting there. We're pushing for that. So how we navigate through basically travel is that because we're federally regulated, all of our bags are very to spec. So it says frozen human breast milk all on the front, and on the back, you've got the personalized label for the person on the back, so with their information. So kind of like a compounding pharmacy, if you've ever been to
absolutely. Yeah.
And in 5 years, we have never had anybody say that they have issues traveling with all over the world. It has been to the summit in Nepal. I've got a picture of a mom showing her a mountain in Nepal. It has been to Australia. It's been to Mexico. It's been all over Europe. There's pretty much no place it hasn't been, other than, of course, like Antarctica. But we have never had or heard of any issues whatsoever, because we took such diligent practice to make sure that we're like checking off all of the boxes to make sure, okay, can this get past customs? But even if customs does open up one of the bags are resealable. So you don't need to think about it going back or anything like that if they do need to test it, because it's white powder. It's white powder. When I first started out, I was packaging and I'm just thinking, like, this looks terrible. This looks terrible. If anybody who is like peeping through a window right now, but it's breast milk. But no, I mean, we've never had any issues because we took TSA guidelines into big consideration. And the biggest thing is not only the labeling on the package, but also that the person's information is on the back of the package as well.
Amazing. So, surrogate delivers the baby. She begins pumping. Typically, a surrogate will ship this milk that the shipping is crazy expensive because it's very heavy, obviously. And I know we're sort of exchanging one cost, for another in terms of this freeze drying process. But how much milk do you need to get started? Like, is this something people ship to you once a week, once a month, every couple of days? Like, how much do you need to sort of get started?
Yeah. Everyone's a little bit different with supply or finances or whatever flexibility with what they want. But when I was looking at some of the shipping rates last night, we get very, very good discounts through FedEx because of the specialty product that we have. So it's for pretty much the same price that you ship frozen breast milk, and actually probably less, depending on if you're in the United States or Canada. You can freeze dry your breast milk, and it just makes it so much easier. But typically, we have packages start at up to 50 ounces. You don't need 50 ounces, though. starting one. And then so with the surrogate mom that we shared the video with this morning, she'd sent in twice. So she'd sent in November when baby was about a month old, and then we just sent back the last rounds, and baby's about 4 months old. I can't even believe it already. But it varies so much between parents. If it's more convenient for you to freeze dry your breast milk, then we've got a lot of moms, donor breast milk moms that will send us large amounts. They'll send us large amounts. And then we send it back to the intended parents, and then they've got like a nice big stash. So it really on the situation, it depends on the supply, and sometimes it depends on the arrangement that the IPs have with their surrogate mom too.
And is there any reason that you would say to someone, you know what, well, I think it's great you're breastfeeding, we can't work with your milk because of a medical condition or medication that you're on, or something is compromising the potential quality of their milk?
Yeah, because we are a service. So if you are on medication, but it's still okay to breastfeed your baby, we can still freeze dry your breast milk. So we do have an intake form where we ask you certain questions, but the service is meant for moms who are, or for individuals who want to give their baby breast milk. So if they're going to be with their surrogate mom and she's on certain medications, but it's okay to keep breastfeeding, then we can take the breast milk. But freeze drying doesn't alter the breast milk whatsoever. We've received some moms that are like, well, I was drinking alcohol, will freeze drying, change that a little bit. And because freeze drying is so good at retaining the nutrients, that it's not good at taking away like alcohol or something like that. Having said that, there's studies on, I'm sure you've read up on studies that the amount of alcohol that it actually transfers over to the breast milk is debatable. But we've also had questions where I'm on the baby can't take dairy. I had dairy. We'll freeze dry and remove those dairy proteins.
Oh yeah.
And so it won't remove proteins. So we have certain individuals who, if baby couldn't take dairy, for example, some babies will outgrow it. So we can freeze dry the donor milk or the surrogate milk from the mom, and then they can reintroduce that later on.
Okay. And do you have bottle suggestions, other feeding suggestions based on sort of your experience in this world? I always ask people for advice on all things related to what they do. So any shout outs to products you love or that we should be watching for in the Canadian marketplace?
There's so many. I mean, like I've got almost a 2-year-old. I still am nursing him. There's so many amazing products that come out, or even the big difference between my 5-year-old and 2-year-old, between just the bottle warmers. For actually the one really good thing that freeze drying does do, I'll kind of step back a little bit.
Yes.
For any surrogate moms that have high lipase and their babies, they're like, my baby's not taking bottles because it smells a little bit different or it turns a little bit off. So high lipase is naturally occurring in breast milk. It helps baby break down fat. So it's an enzyme within breast milk. It helps baby break down fat.
Oh, okay.
Of a higher amount of that lipase enzyme, and it can break down the fat faster at a faster rate, and so it tends to turn the milk off, like an off smell. Some metallic, just generally off, or maybe even fishy. Freeze drying, when we remove the water, tends to mild out that flavor, that intensity, and then we've heard babies actually prefer the bottles made from the freeze-dried breast milk versus the thawed breast milk. So really mild out, and it prevents, because we're removing the water, it prevents that enzyme from breaking down the fat more and getting more potent over time. So that is the one benefit, I guess you could say, about changing breast milk a little bit is that it helps save high lipase breast milk, whereas some individuals would just throw it out because they're like, this is bad, baby doesn't like it. So we're here to try and save breast milk as much as possible, but that is the one bonus for freeze drying for high lipase breast milk, is that you can still feed it. And then if baby still doesn't prefer the high lipase breast milk, you can use the powder in their foods as they grow. So baby keeps getting the nutritional value for years. You can hide it in foods. You can hide it in, stews and chilies and chicken and pasta and everything like that. So they'll keep getting the nutritional benefits, long-term benefits of breast milk in powdered form within their foods longer. Um, so I digress for
No.
that. Glass bottles are probably one of my biggest favorites.
Okay.
Life Factory, huge favorite in my family, or stainless steel. I think Pura is a good brand. They're in Canada. I'm pretty sure they're in the US. I love Haka. I love all things Haka for
Okay.
where if surrogate mom doesn't want to invest in a breast pump, or maybe breast pumping is not really like a big favor, then getting those Hakas, you can just attach one side. If she's nursing directly for the first few days, you can attach the Haka to one side of the breast, baby nurses on the other side, Haka collects a little bit, and then switch sides, Haka collects a little bit on the other side, and then you're starting to build your stash. I think I collected like 200 ounces in the first like month with my second. I learned a few things after my first, but it's a very passive way of pumping, and you can do it while nursing. And so if the surrogate mom doesn't really feel comfortable with pumping, or doesn't like pumping, or because it can be a big, pumping is not fun. You feel like a little bit like a cow,
Right.
but the Haka is really great at like passive pumping. So then you can still give the intended parents some breast milk, even if you're just still nursing directly. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And this stays stable on the shelf. Well, not on the shelf, but in your cupboard for how long can this sit?
So according to USDA and Red Cross, powdered milk is safe almost indefinitely, but for nutritional value, we recommend to use within about 3 to 5 years. And we want to store in a cool, dry, dark place, not the glove compartment of your car, but even just your pantry, basement, anything like that. It saves so much on storage space. You are basically reducing the weight of frozen breast milk down to 10% of that. So it's a big space saver.
Amazing. And you heat it up with, listen, I mean, my kids are older, so you used to boil the water and then you used to put in the scoop of the thing. And then, is it still the same? Like you use boiled water to use your product similarly?
Powdered infant formula, we give you like a little tips and tricks guide.
Okay.
You can use your Booby Food. We give you how to make a bottle. For babies under 4 months, you want to sterilize the water like you would with powdered infant formula. So boil the water, and then you can add your somewhere between 3 to 5 ounces per bag. And then there you got, just you shake, rattle, roll, shaken or stirred, however you want it.
Amazing.
And then baby. You can also prep bottles 24 hours ahead of time. So using cold water, you can, I mean, we all remember the overnight feeds and everything like that. If you can grab a bottle, warm it up, and then, function with one eye as much as possible, that's great. But you can prep bottles up to 24 hours ahead of time. So if you have cold water, you can put a few bags in, prep your 6 bottles or 8 bottles, put it in the fridge, and then you can just grab it and go. You don't have to worry about scooping, or, baby can be hungry at one time and not hungry at the next time. It's not really super scheduled. So if you've got something to just grab and go and distract baby for a minute while it warms up, then makes it a lot easier than having to go and thaw a breast milk bag and then warm it and then make sure where's the bottles. So we try to make things as easy as possible for parents.
Amazing. And so where do people find you? Can you give us your website? How intended parents can reach out to you and put their surrogate in the loop with you as well?
Yeah. So our website is boobyfood.com. We are at I Love Booby Food on pretty much all of the social channels. Instagram, aside from today, is our favorite channel for communication. We've got a great fact section, but I think one of the best things is to watch the process. And we love sharing the videos like we shared this morning, where it's like, oh, that's how it works. And so we share basically from shipping to the whole intake to freeze drying to packaging and then back home. And we've got a ton of highlights on how clients can use and how clients are using their Booby Food. You can even mix it in with diaper cream to help with bum rashes. It's just, there's, milk is phenomenal. So there's so, but yeah, I Love Booby Food is our social handles, and boobyfood.com is our website.
Amazing. And I would be remiss if I didn't add, if you're watching this video and a breastfeeding fan, it likely means you are a mom. And if you are and you're curious about surrogacy, please reach out to us at Sacred Surrogacy. And thank you so much for your time today. I am just fascinated by this whole process. I'm way past the point of babies and bottles and formula, which I'm actually excited about, but I love learning about it. So thank you so much. And we will be getting information and getting this sent out to our clients because this is just so great. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much for the work that you do. Surrogacy is very, very near and dear to my heart. Through family members, I was almost going to be a surrogate. So that it's the most beautiful gift that you can give a family. And I don't want to get teared up, but I just think that you're just doing some beautiful magic work.
Amazing.
And people are surrogate moms are they're angels. They're guardian.
They are the reason that that it all matters, you know, showing up for people who are in medical crisis or struggling with infertility or, you know, needing help to become parents, which is something we are all, you know, are so blessed with, is just everything to watch and to be a part of and to see families built and, you know, honoring surrogates and for intended parents to, you know, to care for and show up for, you know, is just so beautiful. So thank you. And yeah, we will be in touch and we will be, you know, hopefully working together lots as we grow within our community, this knowledge, which is so important. So thank you.
Amazing. And I can also, we have a free online consult.
Oh, awesome.
So what is that for surrogate moms and intended parents, we can all meet via Zoom together.
Awesome.
Organize what works best as far as transport or answering any of the questions or just,
amazing,
you know, sending your breast milk away. You want to know who's handling it. So we
definitely
have a website. So definitely take advantage of that if you want to get more personalized consult calls in there.
Amazing. And website is boobyfood.ca.com. Boobyfood.com. Perfect. Well, thank you. And yeah, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You too. Bye.
Bye.